Welcome to Emtron Training Part 31. In this training tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at working with our main spark timing table. We're going to be learning what spark timing actually means and how it's represented in the Otto cycle, learning what values to program in our main spark timing tables that we have safe starting points to calibrate and work with our fuel and spark tuning process. We're also going to be talking about doing breakpoint rescaling and a couple other tips and tricks in terms of working within our spark timing tuning. We're gonna have a lot to cover. Let's jump in so we can check this out. Okay, so let's get started. We're gonna be taking a look at working with our main spark timing table, understanding what spark advance or spark timing actually means, and then learning how to calibrate and work within the values of our table. This is important to understand conceptually how spark timing fits in within the Otto cycle so that when we're commanding and programming spark timing, we know what we're trying to achieve, which is going to be a specific controlled cylinder pressure to be able to push down on the piston and rod assembly at a specific point in its travel on the power stroke. We'll explain this a little bit more as we go through the tutorial. There's a lot more to spark timing, so there's spark timing modifiers and knock control. We're not going to muddy up the waters in this video. We're going to focus on just the main spark timing table, understanding this conceptually, understanding how to build out a main spark timing table and properly calibrate it. Then we'll move into all the sub modifiers within the spark timing category, such as our spark timing modifier, intake air, coolant temp compensation. There's a lot of other compensations as well as knock control. So we're just going to be very focused and specific in this tutorial. The first thing I want to cover and take a look at is talking about the idea of spark timing. What does it represent? How does it fit in the Otto cycle? I have a video illustration that's going to make a lot more sense of this. It'll be much more clear as to what the values in the table actually represent. Let's actually jump into the main spark timing table and start to take a look at that, and that'll begin our tutorial here. So we're going to move from our tuning window, and we're going to go here into our ignition right now, and then we find in our drop down we have an ignition timing table 1. We have 3 timing tables we could technically work with. We have a secondary table, we have a global trim, compensation, starting spark timing, commanding for spark timing under starting conditions, transient, when we have throttle movement. We'll find cylinder trims, the z-axis setup, and then we have some overall programming that we can achieve here, working within the ignition table control, turning things on or off. That's going to be where we turn modifiers on or off. Again, what we're going to focus on in this tutorial, just to keep things simple, is our main ignition table 1. Our main ignition table 1 here is going to be the basis of how we command the spark timing to happen within our Otto cycle. This table here is traditionally based on manifold pressure on our load axes. We can see this is our map pressure readings in kPa. The top axis is going to be in engine speed. There's a 3-dimensional table, so depending on what the load and RPM is on the engine, it'll have a specific spark timing that we want to command. Now, we need to be specific with this in terms of the spark timing that we run, because it will influence how much cylinder pressure we're building in our engine, which can influence how much horsepower and torque production we're making. If we run too little spark advance, we'll find the engine will have lackluster performance. It won't make good horsepower, it won't make good torque, and the throttle response will be poor. If we run too much spark advance, we can run into a situation where we can get knocker pre-ignition, which is uncontrolled combustion, which can definitely damage the engine by excessively high cylinder pressures. Or we simply won't make any more horsepower and torque out of the engine. It actually doesn't benefit us. There's going to be a sweet spot for timing our engine. That's known as our maximum brake torque timing, where the timing amount that we command in our table here will achieve a peak cylinder pressure pushing down on the piston and rod assembly against the crankshaft on the power stroke right around 15 to 20 degrees after top dead center. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but just understanding that there is going to be values that are appropriate for the engine you're working with. Now, every engine will have a different spark timing amount that's going to be acceptable for that engine. So depending on the modifications that you have done, the compression ratio, all things that can affect your cylinder pressure in your engine will affect how much spark timing you're able to run in a particular application. What we're going to do here is take a high-level look at spark timing, how it works, how things are going to be programmed in here in the table, and then from there, you're able to go and start to calibrate and tune. You'll understand things a little bit better. Okay, let's focus on the values in the table here first and understanding what they mean. We can find up here at the top, this is saying main ignition table 1. This is degrees BTDC. This is the commanded spark timing when we're trying to command the spark timing to happen, when we want the spark event to happen, when we're on the compression stroke. And these values are going to be representative of before top dead center on compression stroke. So when we're taking a look
at the Otto cycle in relation to the spark timing amount that we're finding in our table here.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.